What is going on, everybody? So, this has been coming for a very long time where we tried putting a podcast together since COVID, and I'm actually thankful that we have this all together now. We're at Attila's Gym in Belmar. We decided to put a podcast room together for Attila's, but on the side, I'm also doing my own podcast, which I'm extremely thankful for. Basically, how this is going to go, I don't really know what you guys want to hear about, so I just have a bunch of topics that people from Instagram DM me about, some of my own things that, I put in there as well, but a lot of the things you guys sent me were really awesome. I really appreciate it. Who I have with me is Emilio, my best friend, my right-hand guy, my gym partner, whatever you want to call it. And then I have, on the mixer, we have Lex. If you guys want any of Lex's services for podcast, anything to do with gaming, Twitch, I don't know any of that stuff, but she knows it all. And that's the reason why we hired her, and that's why she's going to be doing all this with us. We would not be here without Lex, so I want you guys to keep that in mind. Her information will be in the description down below. If you guys need a rate or anything from that on her services, just DM her. But anyway, moving forward, how we're actually doing this, our one buddy is actually running late right now, so we wanted to start going over some of the topics that you guys submitted through DM. So we have this little tiny protein bottle, and inside of it are crumbled up little tiny questions, topics that you guys have. So I'm just going to jump right into it, and we're going to go right from there. Always the most interesting. Okay. Well, I guess this is going to be a very long question to answer. What happened to you and Nick Walker? So for those of you guys that don't know, Nick Walker is a top contender in the Olympia right now. He's a bodybuilder. Guess he's heavyweight. Yeah, he's definitely heavyweight. I don't really follow bodybuilding that much. I just know that he's a super heavyweight. There was a lot of things that happened with me and Nick Walker a very long time ago. Post-COVID. How long ago was that? Like 2 years ago, man. COVID.
Going on 3. Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, basically, I came here to film for Attila's Gym in Belmar when they were opening up against COVID regulations. And we were all advised, hey, if you work out, there is the possibility that you could be under arrest for working out in the gym, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. But with that being said, I was a Philadelphia sheriff at the time, and I ended up getting hurt on the job. I got hit in the head due to a maintenance issue, and after that, I could no longer be a sheriff. I had severe seizures. I had a brain bleed that was called a subdural hematoma, which severely affected my life. And basically, the only thing I had talent-wise was doing video content and photography. So at that time, when I came to Attila's, I knew about this guy. His name is Nick Walker. And I think this is right around the same time we started hanging out. I think it was. But basically, I was enthusiastic about seeing this guy because he just looked amazing working out, and I was like, damn, let me see if I can get photos of this guy. It was literally right downstairs is where I took my first photos of Nick. Now, I took some photos of him, and later on that night, I was just like so enthusiastic about getting the photos back to him that I literally did all of those photos in a couple hours. I literally just like detailed them all and made them look great. And we also did some type of video. And if anyone's ever worked out with Nick or even filmed him, he's like one of the most funniest fucking dudes I've ever filmed in my life. Just the things that come out of his mouth, he's hilarious. So from that point on, I had sent him over the video stuff and I sent him over the photos. So that happened. Then from that point on, he contacted me and said, hey, I want to get some more photos done. So I came in here. And when I came in here, basically we did a little shoot, and then we went into the office, and he goes, hey, let's talk business. I said, all right, let's talk business. He's like, I really want you to do my video and my photo content. I said, all right, I'd love to do it. And he had offered it to me, I think, weeks go by. But weeks prior when I did it, he had given the job to another videographer that was in Jersey, and Nick never got back to me. So I was like, all right, cool. So then I saw in this guy's story that he was taking over Nick Walker's YouTube channel, which I already had discussed with him, but it was no big deal at that point. I didn't really have any investments into it, so I didn't care. Fast forward to 2 weeks later, I saw Nick at the gym again, and I just took a couple photos of him while he was with his videographer, and he was training with another guy. And literally, I think it was maybe a week later, he ended up firing that guy and hiring me back after he basically dicked me over and said, hey, I'll hire you, never did. And then he hired me. He's like, hey, let's talk business. I need this and this done. He goes, this guy, his photos just aren't it. And this videographer at the time was screenshotting the videos and using them as photos. And they just weren't edited. They weren't anything. It was just pure, raw, whatever it was. And so moving forward with that, I think I started doing his YouTube channel from like that day. Mm-hmm. And we started doing weekly. It was like every Tuesday we would do a vlog. And everything would be posted Wednesday. So I got 50 plus photos done, edited for him, and his YouTube vlog done within like 12 hours. And I ran his YouTube channel, which basically from that point, I was just editing the thumbnail. I was doing everything trying to run the channel for him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys know, like doing a YouTube channel is just not easy whatsoever.
Nope.
And oh man, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Maybe the lights.
It's probably the lights. Let's take 2 to get a fan. Sorry for that, folks. Technical difficulties, but it's getting a little hot up in here. I don't know if it's the conversation or the lights up in here. But anyway, so basically what I was doing, Emilio, I was editing his videos. I was doing his photos. I wasn't charging this guy a lot.
Right.
I was just charging him what I thought I was worth at the time. It wasn't a whole lot because I was just starting out. And on top of that, bro, I just lost my career. And I just needed money. Like, I was just working with everybody and trying to just do... I was basically collaborating with people that, like, hit me up for months. Like, yo, let's do this. And I'm like, nah, I had a paycheck. So I was comfortable. I was like, I don't need to do this. And, like, then once I got hurt, I took on, like, 60 clients my first month and just kept taking on whatever, even weird shit. Mm-hmm. I had a lady that said she wanted, like, pictures on a horse naked, and I did it. It was just the strangest thing ever. It was very different at the time. So... moving forward, Nick had me working for him. You know, I was shooting with him once a week. And on top of that, he knew what I was going through because I was suffering from, like, a lot of different stuff. I had my chick at the time that, like, me and her weren't doing as well. And I was trying to keep that all together. And on top of that, my job was not supporting me. I was getting no money. So there was just all this anxiety and stress going on. On top of that, I had an injury. So... putting up with going to the doctors, them telling me stuff that I didn't want to hear, and like stuff that was just changing all around.
It was just hitting you all at once.
It was hitting me all at once, and like I didn't know how to handle the shit because I've never been sick in my life. I've never had any type of medical issues, nothing. So that type of shit right there just threw me a separate direction. So moving forward, I developed a relationship with Nick where, you know, he was hitting me up. He's like, yo, man, you all right? Like, this and that. Like, he'd always hit me up every morning. He's like, yo, man. He's like, I'm gonna keep texting you if you're all right until I find out that you're good, man. He's like, and he, to be honest, like, I grew, like, a friendship with Nick very quickly.
Was it genuine? Was it?
It was very, that's the thing. Like, in my opinion, yeah, he did some dickhead shit to me. But I think in general, Nick is a very soft-hearted person. He's actually a good dude, in my opinion.
Okay. Even
though he fucked me in some areas, which I'll get to that story sooner or later. But basically, you know, moving forward, I was getting closer with Nick, and, you know, we were shooting all the time, and, you know, I was developing that relationship with him, and everything was good. And once we got down to, I don't think any issues.
When did things start going left?
Things started going left when we got to North Americans.
Okay.
So I went to North Americans, and weeks prior, I had been working with Matt Jansen. I was taking photos of Nick for Raw Nutrition. I didn't really know Matt. I've only heard rumors about him, and people told me, I've always heard the same shit, stay away from him. You know, they would mention, you know, he's killed clients and stuff, which, to brush up on that, they mostly are talking about, they're mostly talking about the Dallas McCarver issue. Dallas McCarver was a young athlete that passed away, you know, rest in peace to him.
Rest in peace.
And everyone always blamed Matt. And to be honest, I think Matt carries that with him all the time. And I honestly just don't think he had anything to do with it. I think the fact that, that situation happened, it was just bad timing, bad everything, but I don't think Matt ever had anything to do with it. He carries the guilt, I think, at times, and I think that's kind of sad, but I know that if he could change anything, he would change that situation around very quickly. But moving forward, like, I didn't know Matt, and, I was taking pictures for Raw of Nick, and it was just very simple. He's like, hey, I'll pay you to do pictures of Nick, I'm trying to make him the face of Raw. I said, yeah, no problem. And I had been working back and forth doing that, and everything was great. I had like an album of Nick, like photos, and I said to him, I said, hey, like I hit him up, I said, hey, just letting you know, I have an album of Nick. If you want to buy the album, it's like 50 photos. I was like, at the time, because like I said, I was just hustling, like I was just making whatever money I could. I was like, let me know how many pictures you want, and I'll price you out that way, or you can just buy the whole album.
Right.
Bro, the album was like $120.
Yeah.
And there were like photos in there that like were just amazing photos of Nick. It is what it is. But he's like, all right, man, well, let me tell you something. Let me see if I use any of these photos towards the end of the month, and I'll pay you per photo, or I'll just pay you for the album. I said, all right, cool. Put it in my calendar. At the end of the month, they said, hey, good morning. I said, I just want to let you know that, I have photos that, what are we doing with them? Did you use any of them? Whatever. He's like, yeah. I used one photo and posted it. I said, oh, okay, cool. He's like, you want me to pay for one photo?
Right.
I said, no. I said, that's okay. And he sent me like a voice memo. He's like, listen, man, I don't want to do business with you if this is how you're going to conduct business and do this and that.
Right.
And I was already having just like a fucked up day leaving the doctor's office. So I like came back with a voice memo, and I still have the voice memos. And like I said to him, I said, dude, I might fucking die tomorrow. I said, I'm not going to take shit from anybody.
Yeah.
I said, I sure as hell I'm not going to take shit from you. I said, I told you, you can pay me for the album, or we'll price it out per photo. I said, I'm not going to charge you for one photo.
Right.
I said, I'm already working with you. I said, I want to work with you guys.
Right.
I said, so I'm not going to be petty like that.
That wasn't your intentions from the start anyway.
I was just trying to keep it business savvy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And some people can't handle that business savviness. And again, sometimes the way I come off could maybe be unprofessional. I don't know, but I try being professional.
Right.
So 2 weeks later, I had to meet him in person after we just got into like some type of argument. And after like I like lashed out and like tried yelling at him about the shit, he basically came back like kind of apologetic. And he's like, listen, man, I'm starting to work with these people. Like, I'll get you all these people, this and that. Like, kind of persuade me in a way. So we get to North Americans, and here's the first people there, me and Matt. So I just walk up and I see him. I say, hey, it's nice to meet you.
Kept it cordial.
Kept it cordial.
Yeah.
No issues. And honestly, I just think it was a petty fight to begin with. But nothing. I said, hey, if you need anything, I said, I don't know if your camera guy's going to be here, which was Gilco. I said, he's a good friend of mine. I said, if you need any coverage, because he's busy, because Gilco does everybody's videos. I said, if for some reason, he's not available, I said, I don't mind taking some videos for you to help you out.
Right. Whatever.
I said, but I'm really here for Nick. And he's like, yeah, just take care of Nick. He's like, if I need anything, I'll let you know. Cool. We get there. Gilco ended up having time. He had called me on my way there and said, hey, am I stepping on your toes by coming out? I said, no, man. I said, I was just trying to help you out.
Right.
And he's like, all right, cool. So we're both working together. Everything's cool. And, that show at North Americans was very intimidating. Not to Nick, but to, like, everyone there. Because everybody saw him walk in, and he's the face of this new industry.
Right.
And we're putting up videos every day, like, as we're there. Like, day one, North Americans. And, like, bro, we're hitting, like, 10,000 views in one day. Because everybody in that hotel is just fucking watching.
Yeah, the algorithm.
His YouTube channel went from, like, I think it was, like, 1,000 subs to, like, 45K in, like, the month. I think it was in a month and a half that we were already working together. I only worked with him almost close to, like, 3 months. But, moving forward, when we're at North Americans, we're in the hotel room. I'm seeing all the clients come by, and, like, Nick had this, like, I'm supposed to be filming what he's doing. Right. So, like, I grab my camera as he's grabbing his meal, and he, like, looked at me while he's microwaving. He's like, yo, bro, I eat this in peace. I don't want somebody filming me. I said, oh, all right, man. I said, let me step back. And I walked out of the room and said I had to get a new battery or something, because I'm like, maybe he's just stressing out. I said, it happens.
Yeah.
So, like, all that shit's going on. Cool. you know, over the next couple days, like I'm kind of seeing the things that are going on there, and Nick's just looking better and better each day. And basically, to sum up what was going on, Nick had a girlfriend at the time that I had worked with, because I shot them as a couple and stuff, and he didn't want her even coming to the show. And then like he found out that she was coming to the show, and like, he's like, "Oh, I don't fucking want her here, blah blah blah, this and that." I'm like, I said, "Dude, why wouldn't you want that support?"
Right.
I have my support, I got my family here, this and that. I'm like, all right, cool, dude, whatever.
Did that throw him off? Like, what was?
I don't know what the deal was with that.
Yeah.
But Matt had made some type of comment regarding her being a clout chaser, meaning it was almost like Matt was trying to steer them away from being together because she was trying to steal like his thunder in a way, which I just thought was kind of weird because she took care, like I was there, like she really loved the dude and like took care of him. Like I didn't see it that way, but you know, when people are in that industry, man, I tell everybody all the time, it is a great industry of poor quality people. I heard that from one of my clients, and like that stuck with me to this day, especially after that incident. So moving forward, you know, we're at North Americans, everything's going great. I was supposed to take footage of Nick backstage, and apparently the last pass had gone to a guy named Will Whitman, who's like a famous fitness photographer now in that industry. And I was like, fuck, man, I said, how the fuck did he get this shit?
Right.
And Matt looked over, he's like, I gave it to him. I'm like,
What?
you gave it to him, but you were the one that telling me to take photos of Nick on stage and shit. I'm like, why? Oh, I don't know. And like, that was almost like, all right, fuck you. Like, I got back at you type shit. That's how I felt. Whatever. So I still kept filming, kept doing what I did. Again, bro, it cost me like $600 for the room. I was there for 2 days. I barely charged Nick anything. I think I charged him half of what I paid for my hotel room.
Right.
Plus the gas, fees, food. I paid all of that. Like
if anything, you were looking out.
The whole thing was that like I knew Nick was gonna be like great. So like in all reality, I didn't want to stress him out. And on top of that, bro, charging crazy outrageous prices to somebody that could be beneficial to me,
Right.
it just didn't seem fair. So I didn't care. I took that shit on the chin, and it just, we were at North Americans and people were so hype about Nick being there and like things are going crazy. You could see like the pressure wasn't getting to him. He was just loving it. Like it was finally his time, bro. And I'm trying to think of what happened from that point on, because we went at North Americans, they had to have a tent during COVID. So it wasn't an auditorium. They had to have a tent.
Oh, okay.
Because like the mayor or something said, no, you can't have events doing this. Like you need to have a tent. And I was like, and you couldn't even go in the tent unless you were like somebody special. So I was like, how the fuck am I gonna get any of this shit done?
Right.
Like, and it was like the last day we were there. Nick just looks great. We get to outside the tent. They're not ready for him. He's like, he's like, yo, I'm ready to do this, blah, 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 this and that. And to sum it up, he got his pro card, and I literally almost cried because I was just so happy for the guy. I really was. And I ran to the Cheesecake Factory and I bought him red velvet cheesecake. Nice. It's one of his favorite things he likes to eat after a show.
Right.
I bought like 12 pieces. Bro, it run me like $120 for this fucking cheesecake. So I gave it to his mom, his dad.
Same price.
Like, I took care of all of them there. And that was the first time I actually met Anthony Matello, who is a really big YouTuber in the fitness industry now. The kid's killing it. And such a nice, quiet kid, and like he blossomed into this like amazing YouTube star, which I'm extremely happy for him. But with that being said, you know, later on I had gone back to the room, and Matt had offered me a deal and said to me, he said, do you have any ties to Pennsylvania? I said, I have my family and I got my girlfriend. And he goes, well, would you be willing to move down to Florida to film the content for Raw, Revive, and do Nick's content? I said, I would love to do that. I said, let me just talk to my girlfriend. I said, my whole family's moving to Arizona in a couple of years, so I'm not really worried about that.
Right.
I said, but let me get back to you. And like, I think it was like 2 days later, I had told Nick, I said, bro, I'll do it. I said, let me start looking for places. Nick was supposed to be like talking to Dom, who owns Revive, to let him know I was going to come down. He's like, oh, I want you to meet Dom so we can do this, this, and that. I was going to do Nick's content for free.
Wow.
If I moved down to Stuart, Florida, I was gonna literally like say, hey man, you know, if you give me a room down there, you have an extra room or even a couch,
Right.
I'll come down, you know, either a couple times a week or I'll just move down there all together and just take care of the content. Because I said, bro, we gotta ride the wave. I said, I can already tell that you're gonna make it so much. I said, bro, this is just a start. You
Right.
just turned pro.
That's awesome.
So a couple weeks went by. You know, I first went to my girlfriend and went out to dinner and I said, listen, babe, like, I got an opportunity at hand. And, like, I was just the whole time just so stressed about what she was going to say because either way, I felt like I was just going to go anyway.
Right.
But I just wanted that. And she's like, babe, like, this is your dream. This is what you do. Like, I'll go anywhere you go. Like, we'll look for jobs.
It's love.
So, like,
It is love.
wait until the ending of this story.
Okay.
That's
The
love.
ending of this story will be great. So, so moving forward, she said that, and we had started looking for like different jobs. Like I was gonna look for like a second job just in case, and we were gonna start looking for places. And like, you know, a week or two went by, and I think Nick had to do another show, and he was staying in Georgia. Originally, I was supposed to be going to Georgia to stay with Matt at his place and film Nick and whatever. But then I saw another guy filming Nick. So I was like, Nick, I'm like, am I still like recording you through this prep? Like we talked about going to Chicago Pro, all this stuff. He's like, oh, you know, we have somebody else, blah, blah, blah. And it was Gilco's guy that worked underneath him. So I was like, all right, well, like, can you just let me know, is he taking care of everything? Because, you know, is he going to Florida? Like, what? And he's like, bro, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to focus on this prep. I'm like, okay. And then in the meantime, I'm still trying to look for places.
Yeah.
Places to move down, go down in Florida. And then, like, Matt had sent me some iPhone video clips. And he said, hey, I'm not saying you have to do this, but, like, can you edit this video for me? I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. And basically, I edited the video. It was good. The audio wasn't that great. It was just iPhone quality, whatever. And there was, like, a gap at the end of the video. There was a black gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually leave, like, anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds so the next videos that are premiering next you can see.
Right.
Ended up being, like, 15, 20 seconds long, and it's just a common mistake. And when Nick found that out, he snapped and said, all right, so I all of a sudden come to Georgia, and I'm moving to Florida, and all of a sudden you can't do my video work? I said, no, man. I said it was an honest mistake. He's like, oh, because you didn't shoot it, you fucked it up on purpose. I said,
What?
no. I said, I would never do that to you, dude.
Mm.
Rewinding back to a month prior to this incident, Nick had said to me, hey, I made about $800 on my YouTube account. I said, bro, that's awesome. I had access to his YouTube account, but he said to me, he said, listen, man, you know, there's now $500 and some in it. I said, okay. He's like, did you take any money? I said, no. He's like, well, why would it be less? I said, I don't know, man. I said, let me call support and see. I said, and after researching and talking to people, I talked to like 2 specialists that go with Google and YouTube. And from what they told me, they said, listen, like every 30 days, Google ads and the ads that go on YouTube, they calculate at the end of the month, you know, if there's like fake views, bots, whatever. And then on top of that, your ads can go anywhere from 2 cents all the way up to 15 cents. But they don't know what ads were shown until the very end.
Right.
So at the end of the month, it said you predicted to make $800-900.
Like an estimate. Yeah,
An
yeah.
estimate, and then it went down to 5.
Gotcha.
So I had no idea the beast that was in front of me now because I didn't take it serious. I thought he was not kidding with me, but I didn't think he was going to take it to a level of like me stealing from him.
Extreme, yeah.
So now, a month later, this shit's going on. I didn't even know that he was telling people that I stole from his YouTube channel.
Right.
So I thought he may have just said it. He was apparently telling people not to work with me, and that this is where the bullshit comes in.
Yeah.
I started losing clients, and I started having people like, yo, did you really steal from Nick's channel? I said, number one, I said, it's hooked up to Nick's bank account. I said, any transactions that happen from YouTube, there is a paper trail.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
I said, I said, dude, I'm the type, if I steal, chop my hand off. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of person, especially I don't bite the hand that feeds me.
Exactly.
Nick gave me an opportunity. I was thankful for that, even though there was ups and downs and rough sides to certain stuff. I would never steal from somebody. It's just not. You know me well.
Yeah, it's not.
I would
not your
never
character.
steal from anybody, dude.
Right.
So he didn't confront me anymore after that. So after, like, I said to him, I said, yo, bro, is this guy, like, taking care of your content? Like, I kind of need to know. Me and my chick are trying to move down to Florida.
Right.
He's like, yo, man, you know, I think we should just part ways. I said, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah.
So he parted ways with me. Now, 2 weeks prior, I was referred by Matt to do Sean Clarita's content, who's another contender in the Olympia.
Right.
I had heard from, like, several photographers and some videographers, like, yo, just do yourself a favor, don't deal with Sean. I said,
Oh, Lord.
I said, really? I said, I know people that know him, and they said he's a great dude. They're like, trust me, dude, we've heard stories. And I don't go off of one person's opinion. I go off of, like, 5 to 10. There was, like, a good, like, 4 or 5 people that told me, like, listen, you'll figure it out on your own, but I'm telling you, like, he'll switch up on you so quickly that you're not going to know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of kept my guard up the whole time. And again, like, Sean was I love working with Sean.
Yeah.
Sean Clarita was a really nice dude. His girlfriend, wife, I don't know if they're married now, but most sweetest person I've ever talked to. And they treated me really well. I was working with him for like a month and a half. And when Nick had cut me, I literally came up to him because I was supposed to go to Olympia with him. And I said, hey, man, like, there's no hard feelings. I said, if you don't want me coming to Olympia because of Nick or Matt or anybody, I said, listen, like, I don't care. Like, you can tell me. I said, I'd just rather not be left in the dark.
Right.
He's like, nah, man, you're my video guy. You're coming with me. So there was a time, so we had to, like, we're going, like, all different angles here. So what happened was, this is during COVID and this shit's going on. So I ended up, I think it was like 2 weeks later after I saw Sean, the Olympia was in 3 weeks. I was going to do a video for him every week leading up to the Olympia. We were only working together twice a month at that point. I was taking videos, photos, I was running his YouTube channel. And he didn't pay me the one time. And he did it like a couple times, but it wasn't like, fuck you, I'm not paying you. It was like, oh, like, I just ran out without him paying me, or like, I just forgot to tell him. So I was like, no, I don't care. Like, I'm working with you, so the next time, just pay me the full price.
Right.
And there was a time that he didn't pay me. So when I was going to the shoot that he was supposed to do one day, in the morning, I had to shoot with another client that was up his way. So I was like, all right, cool, I can do this one and then do that one, get paid. Before I went up, I said, hey, is there any way you can bring cash today? Because my PayPal is just charging me way too much in fees.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't have cash, but I can get you cash next time. I said, all right, man, whatever. Cool, it didn't matter. When I was finished filming my client up in Retro that was up in North Jersey, I, like, stumbled a little bit, and then I felt lightheaded. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So I was leaving the gym. I said to the guy, I said, yo, man, is there any way you can just check my temperature? I was at 102 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, and he looked at me, and he had his mask on. He's like, yo, just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that Retro didn't want to close down.
Yeah.
So I'm literally calling Sean for the next 2 hours of my drive home. That drive home, everything, like, just hit me so hard.
Oh man.
So then I find out I have COVID.
Damn.
So I didn't have COVID for a week, 2 weeks. I had COVID for 5.5 weeks.
Oh my
shit.
gosh.
Bro,
Never
I
knew that.
missed Christmas. I missed
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. It was fucking awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm calling Sean. He's not answering. So then I hear back from him like 2 days later, and it might have been the next day. But he's just like, hey, man, you know, I told him I had COVID. I said, listen, man, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. He's like, hey, man, you know, we're cool. I don't need any more video stuff. You know, I canceled your flight to Vegas. You know, we're just going to rock out, you know, without you. And I said, dude, like, I'm really sorry that, like, I got COVID. I said,
Right.
I didn't do this on
I
purpose,
mean.
man. And he goes, honestly, man, I don't really believe you. I think, like,
What?
I think you personally were mad that I didn't pay you, and you decided not to show up to my shoot because I didn't have cash on me that day. I said, bro, fuck the money.
Right.
Fuck whatever.
Hey, this is your health.
I took the initiative to literally make sure I wasn't sick because you have the Olympia to win in 3 weeks. And he did
Yeah.
win it. He won it that year. So I was like, Sean, I could never forgive myself if I got you sick
Right.
and you missed the Olympia title, which you've been working for your entire life. I said, that's just not me. So I think he had posted stuff later on. Nick was the same way. Nick posted my photos, untagged me and all of my shit.
Wow.
Like, I think he even took down some of my photos.
Mhm.
I remember the first photo I did of Nick. think he got like over 100K likes. It was like
Wow.
he went from doing like cell phone fucking images,
Quality, yeah.
and I gave him like professional images, and like, dude, it just went off. And one of them, I think it was the one that went viral. He was in a green tank top, and they put an old man's face over him and said,
Oh.
"Look at this jacked old man." It was like 126K likes on one of these channels.
Right.
So all that happened. So then Nick's ex-girlfriend reaches out to me, and I had been talking to her, like, here and there, like, she'd ask me, like, hey, have you talked to Nick? And she would text me sometimes when we would all shoot together, and I talked to her, and I was like, yo, like, why is Nick, like, all of a sudden hate me, and why, like, he's accusing me of stealing and all this? She goes, I don't know, Nick just left me, blah, 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 like, and they were fighting, going through it. This girl moved from Tennessee to New Jersey to be closer to Nick. Cost her a shit ton of money. She had to relocate her job, and she had to relocate her fucking dogs.
Yeah.
I felt really bad.
Can't forget
Then
the
all of a
dogs.
sudden
No.
he said to her, like, you know, I'm moving to Florida with or without you.
Damn.
She's like, well, I just can't pack up and do all this.
Again, like I
And
just did it.
she was like kind of like falling apart at that point. So I was working with her, like taking videos and photos of her and stuff, and I didn't even want to charge her, and she still paid me. And she was just a good girl around, but I could just see like she was kind of torn. You know,
Yeah.
she's not in her home state. Stu just left her, and like it was just all around like.
Yeah.
And then she told me, she's like, I haven't gotten dick in like 3-4 months.
Whoa.
And I'm like, well, that's the life. That's the life of dating a competitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was sad in a sense, but she would tell me, she's like, listen, like, I just want to let you know, like, Matt Jansen does not like you. He was trying to get you away from Nick from the very beginning. Nick told me that Matt wanted no parts of you, so like I don't see you going to Florida. I said, okay. So they never wanted me down there to begin with.
Wow.
Nick had said it. I believe that Nick really wanted me there. But I think Matt, Daddy Jansen, I always say,
Yeah.
said, nah, he's not coming.
Mm-hmm.
Then they changed up, and I think they gave the position to, like, Will Whitman at the time. I don't know who took it over at that point. But, again, I don't hate on anybody he's worked with. They do amazing work.
Yeah.
I just hated the miscommunication. And then on top of that, to not even confront me as a man and say to me, yo, you stole from my channel. Like, show me the proof. How did I steal from you, bro? I would never steal.
Right.
So
Right, there has to be proof for
there
that.
has to be proof. Again,
Like it's all.
I know it's all
like
paper
paid
trailed.
out. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's exactly how YouTube is.
yes.
So, me, it's just like, I almost went the way, because I used to be in law enforcement. I almost hired a private investigator to literally do the paperwork to send to Nick. And
It's not even worth
the
it.
guy, again, because I worked at the courthouse, I knew these people. And the guy's like, yeah, dude, give me $500. I'll make sure I do the investigation. I send it directly to his house.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I was just so over the bullshit. I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm not wasting any more money and my time.
Right.
Right.
Fuck all this shit.
Bigger
But,
person.
yeah. So let's sum up what has happened at this point. So now, I had just lost Nick as a client. He had now been telling everybody that I was stealing from him and I was a thief. And there were people that were shunning me and didn't want to work with me, which, you know, I literally just lost my career. I'm dying from a head injury. I don't
Right.
know if I'm going to live or die. If I lift up a weight that's more than 50 pounds, my fucking head could bleed out and I could die in the middle of the gym.
That's crazy.
Sean Clarita left me because I got COVID. I had COVID for 6 weeks, almost 6 weeks. My best friend killed himself.
Oh my god.
On top of that, my girlfriend at the time left me while I was dying. All of it at once.
Wow.
And I literally, for like a month, bro, I bundled up and didn't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And like, there's people talking bad about me. There's people doing all this shit. To be honest, man, I had suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
There was a time where I almost considered killing myself. And it was like one of the lowest times in my life. And I don't know how, I'm not going to lie to you, bro, I don't know how I got through it. Because at the time, COVID happened. Again, I had friends I was talking to, but there was no social. There was
Yeah,
nobody really-
isolation.
there was nobody
everyone
really to
was.
talk to.
Yeah.
Whole world shut down.
Right.
There was no one really to talk to, and like, it just killed me, man. Is that like I'm the first person I'll give my shirt off the back to anybody.
Yep.
I'll take care of anybody. And
Mhm.
again, I will never build anything and tear it down. So I'm not saying I built 100% of Nick's YouTube channel,
Right.
but I helped him out, and I helped him out with Instagram. Like, I did whatever I could because I looked at it as this is an investment towards my resume.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
People will look at me one day and say, oh, you work with this person, that's great. So that's the reason why I never really charged Nick full pricing, because I was just like, I do need this money to support myself, to buy the camera equipment, whatever. And again, anything I made off of him, it went directly back into more camera equipment. I never really spent the money.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have money to really spend at that time because my job wasn't paying me.
Right.
I had no disability, no nothing. So I was just like hustling my ass off 16, 18-hour days for like months. And on top of that, still trying to do my physical therapy. Like, I lost my balance. I had speech therapy because I was slurring my words, stuttering. And on top of that, bro, like, even taking therapy because, like, dude, it's just losing everything. I couldn't go to the gym. Couldn't do cardio. My mental health was gone.
Wow.
That's therapy right there.
And to be honest, like, a lot of people out here that are going to be listening to this, I'm not here for clout. I don't even care if this gets 10 fucking views. I want closure, and I want to just be able to tell the story that I had of this, like, weird, fucked up situation that I went through with Nick Walker, Matt Jansen, and Sean Carita.
Yeah.
And, again, like, there's been so much I had to, like, overcome from that bullshit. I just had to kind of, like, keep to myself, man, but I have never been so low where I just thought taking my life was going to solve the problem. And that was the biggest rock bottom I've ever hit that these people put me in. And again, I don't fully put blame on them because life happens.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was the fact that it happened and they just kept going on with their life. And like, it's just like, I did everything I could to help anybody. And that's the problem, is that, like, you guys will fuck over somebody who will do anything for you, but then, fuck with people that really don't even have your best interest.
Right.
The whole name of the game in these people is they want to be able to control. I'm not easy to control. I never have been. That's the reason why in law enforcement, certain people would label me as, oh, you can't do this around this guy. No, I don't fucking beat up inmates handcuffs.
Right.
I don't do weird shit that's quote unquote back in the day, what do they call it? Old school policing.
Yeah.
I never agreed with that shit. And on top of that, my job's trying to fuck me. They have private investigators following me everywhere.
Wow.
I got, again, so much stuff that was going on at this time. And to be honest, I actually just, it feels like a weight's lifted off my chest even saying this to you guys, because I think you guys are the only ones that know this.
Right.
And I don't even know if I'll make this video public. Just the fact that I could say this and people can hear my actual words. Because I kept this in for so long, talking to people. And, like, not really telling them the full story of what happened. Like, and it just... Like, I remember the one time, this really agitated me in North Americans, bro. There's Iron Rebel. It's a clothing brand. It's a fitness clothing brand. I love that brand.
Shout out to Iron.
They have amazing stuff. The guy, Luke, that owns it, amazing dude. But here's what happened. And this is when Nick started fucking up connections with me and not giving a fuck. He basically... was getting paid by them to wear the clothing and stuff, and I reached out to them. I said, hey, if you guys need photos, I have a small fee, but I'll take photos for you guys, get them in. Yeah, they were amazing, on top of everything, cool. And I actually, like, I would call Luke, talk to him, and say, hey, Nick's doing this, this, and that. And, like, I'd work with, the guy was working with me, I was working with him. I love that type of business. Cool. So, Nick, they had a bunch of new hats, new shirts, whatever. They sent him in, and Luke's like, hey, man, I need these 4 shirts done, these 4 hats, and then, like, this, that. I said, all right. I get to the gym. Nick's with his girlfriend. He's like, I'm not fucking wearing it. I said, why? They're not paying me enough. I said, well, dude, like, they're paying me to do this, so I have to shoot you. And I'm like, what the fuck? And Nick's girlfriend's like, Nick, just fucking wear it. I'm like, is this really going on right now? Like a fucking child have a temper tantrum? So he agreed to wear 1 hat with his shirt off and 1 photo. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I think I might have talked him into, like, 1 hat. It was like 1 or 2 hats and a t-shirt. But, bro, I was, like, pulling. And he's like, yo, you tell Luke that I'm in prep. He's a competitor. He should know this. I said, bro, I'm not. I'm just, I shouldn't be saying this shit.
Right.
So I told him, I said, hey, man, he said he's in prep. He's not doing it. He's like, all right, cool. I was like, it's the most craziest shit ever. So Nick had been trying to leave them for a minute, and they treated him very well. And I actually like them because I know so many people working with them. They were cool.
Yeah.
They actually sponsor my buddy Carlos, and I still take photos for them.
Yep.
But here's what fucked things up. Nick wanted to leave them because I think at the time Jed North was trying to get him. And I'm like, Nick, Jed North isn't your style. Iron Rebel's your style. Stick with them. Number one, because it's an amazing style. And number two, they've been with you since the beginning, since you were nobody, bro.
Right.
Cool. So I got on the phone with Luke, and I said, hey, man, Nick wants to be paid more money. Like, what can you do, commission-wise, this, that? We end up talking some numbers, and Nick wanted me to kind of be like his manager in that sense. I said, do you mind if I call him and see if he'll get you more money, like whatever? He said, yeah. Cool. We're 3 weeks away from the North Americans at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to North Americans and I actually saw Luke for the first time, he, like, shunned me and looked the other way, and when I, like, was going to put my hand out to shake, he didn't want to talk to me.
Wow.
Mm.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I'm taking your... I took the photos for you. I talked to you, nice dude. But are you mad because, like, I told you that Nick wants to leave you guys because he's not getting paid? That was the God's honest truth. I didn't want him to leave because I personally liked working with them. So I was like, I said, Nick, hold on real quick. Let me just talk to them and see if I can help out the situation. And he just continued to ignore me when we're outside the tent in North Americans. I'm like, all right, whatever. I guess that's a connection that I'll never fucking get again. Cool. And apparently, from what I heard, that they tried, I wasn't there in the room, but they tried getting Nick to sign an 18-month contract the night before he became pro, which a lot of companies will try doing. And I think Nick denied it because I think Nick wanted to do his... Matt said he wanted Nick to have his own line. And I don't know if that ever happened. I know they do have the Nick Walker shirts, but that was the whole thing. And, man, from that point on, I was like, cool, I lost that connection, cool. Another connection I lost is the videographer is from Jersey.
Mm.
That videographer, I won't mention his name because I don't really want to do that to this guy. He had amazing work, all right? I actually looked up to this guy's work, right? And I don't do hype videos for fitness. It's just not my thing. So anytime I need them done, like people would ask me, I would refer to his page, yo, ask this guy, he's like the king of doing this shit. I'm not about bad business.
Mm-hmm.
When he had been fired by Nick fired me, hired him again, and then hired me and said, I want you doing all my shit. Cool. This videographer blocked me on all social media, which is fucking the weirdest shit ever. And then, we're all in the same network of fitness people, so there are some people that would hit him up.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't like the price, or they just wanted somebody closer, and they hit me up. I never knew that they hit him up until after I was done shooting with them. And basically, it became like a war, like, of shit talking.
Right.
And this is a guy that, like, the first day I ever shot Nick, I went down to Jersey to shoot a Violate the Dress Code, and he was there, and I was like, yo, man, it's, like, so nice to meet you. Like, I've seen so much of your stuff. I was just shooting Nick Walker. He's like, yeah, I used to shoot Nick Walker. I do some of his stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, I say he's cool. I say he's the funniest dude I ever met. I said, I'm doing a blooper reel of Nick. He's so fucking funny. And I was getting along with him. Nice dude. And once he found out that Nick had fired him and hired me, he, like, I guess he kind of looked at it as, like, because I saw them in the gym shooting, I think he looked at it as, like, oh, I'm trying to steal. I was like, no, I was just trying to take photos.
Right.
Like, Nick was a great dude to take photos. He didn't even have to pose. He just looked great. But he kind of looked at that as, like, I wasn't even trying to work with Nick at that point. Like, that's the God's honest truth. I honestly didn't think I was worthy of working with him. Like, I took some photos of him and shit. I did all this stuff. Cool. But at the time, I didn't think I was worthy of it. And then Nick's like, oh, I want to hire you. Let's talk business, blah, blah, blah. This and that. Cool. And, man, as the story goes on, I lost that connection with that person. And I didn't really care, but it was like, I told Nick, I said, bro, explain to him that you want to work with me, not that I want to work with you. I said, because the way it seems is that, like, I just came out of nowhere and offered you a crazy deal to work with you.
Right.
I said, you came to me. You told me to come into Attila's gym, to go into Frank's office. I remember like it was yesterday. He's like, let's talk business.
Right.
And then he said, can you do my YouTube videos and my photos? I said, yeah. And then a week or two later, he had then given the opportunity to I almost said the name. Gave it to the other videographer, right? So then after that 2 weeks happened, I think he ended up getting into an argument with the videographer because he filmed something for Jay Cutler TV. Jay Cutler, not the football player, bodybuilder.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, Nick, this is going to cost you $150. He's like, the fuck? I'm not paying to be on someone's channel. He's like,
Right.
the fuck? And he was mad about that, so I don't know if that's why he fired him and came to me. I don't know what the situation was, but I didn't want no animosity. Like, I love working with other creators. I love having business connections, whatever. I still, to this day, even though this man has ran his mouth about me in the industry, literally trashed my work, I still refer him to people.
Right.
I still refer him. And there's still people that have gone from him to me, and there's only 2 clients that I've turned down when they're like, yeah, we tried going. I said, listen, you guys are from North Jersey. I said, stay up there with him. I said, I don't want no animosity between people anymore. I said, I'm tired of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a connection that I lost. And I was hurt by that as well. But moving forward, what was so crazy, man, is that, like, unfollowed me, stopped viewing my stuff. He stopped tagging me in pics. He untagged me from all the pics that he had at the time. And I just don't understand it, bro.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's one of those things where I'm glad that I can actually talk about this because this has been sitting within me for so long. And I don't even think it's about the situation. It was that, like, I was at my fucking weakest, bro. I lost my job. I lost everything. You guys offer me this stuff, take it out from underneath me, and then call me a thief and everything, man. It's just like, my integrity is everything. I've never fucked anybody over. Now, again, dating-wise, there might be other situations where people say I fucked them over.
That's different.
It's a whole nother.
It's a whole nother level of shit. I'm going to be real with you guys. But it was just,
professional.
there was just so much stuff going on, and I just can't believe it happened. And people warned me for so long. They warned me about Sean Corrida. They warned me about Matt Jansen. And the funny thing was, when I was in Florida last year, we were there together, remember?
Yeah.
For Carlos.
Orlando, yeah.
Who did I tell you? I got off the elevator with Matt Jansen. He said, hey, man, how's everything going? I'm just like, I guess you guys are so used to fucking people. You just don't know
they don't even
that
realize.
you guys, like, kind of ruined my life.
Yeah.
I said, and
They
I just
don't even
said,
care.
I literally just sat back. I'm like, oh, I'm good, man. That's it. And then Sean Corrida was the same way. What was funny about Sean Corrida is, though, Carlos is one of my, you obviously know Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
Carlos and
That's my guy.
Eric Avalon are 2 of my favorite guys because they're the most humblest athletes out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean Corrida was not following around, but sticking by Carlos's side, trying to talk to him. And I leaned over to Carlos and said, hey, man, I'm just letting you know, he doesn't fuck with me. That whole team don't fuck with me. I said, but I'm just going off of spitballing. I think he's trying to, like, lock you into a contract. I said, it just seems like, because somebody else mentioned it, they're like, yo, why is Sean Corrida, like, following around Carlos and talking to him like this? I said, I think he's trying to either warn him about working with me, like saying, yo, like, don't trust this dude. He fucking did this and that. And I'm like, prove it, man.
Right. Where's the proof?
Prove that shit, and I promise you, dude, you will be so upset with yourself.
Mm.
But it just, like, he was sticking around to do something. I think we were walking together with Carlos. You were with me before you left to go meet up with Eric. And I was just like, why the fuck is he here? And, like, so attentive to Carlos. And it was because Carlos was going to win the entire show. And I don't know. Personally, like, PR and public relations is, like, a big thing. I almost think sometimes that some of the things that these guys say they're under Matt, it's not even them saying it. I think it's literally, like, scripted.
Right.
Like, some of the things that they mention and stuff, I just think that the shit's scripted. And, again, I've been in the room with Matt Jansen. He knows everything the back of his hand, know what to say, what to do. And I just, every time there's a win, every time something happens, I think it's just scripted in some ways. Some of it's legitimate, and some of it's scripted from these guys. But personally, like, that experience just showed me so much bullshit. But when that happened, though, what was funny is that Nick's ex-girlfriend at the time, I was working with, whatever, she ended up getting back with Nick in that phase. And she, like, blocked me on everything.
Damn.
And I was just like, yo, like, not for nothing. I don't care if you got back with him.
Right.
But don't be fake.
Yeah.
Don't be fake at all. And then, like, before that happened, a week before that happened, she had told me that Matt and Nick got into this fucking crazy fight because they both showed up at the gym and Nick forgot to bring a bottle of supplements or something, and like they brawled it out. Like Nick called and he's like, "Yo, I'm fucking done. I'm out of here." Blah blah blah. And she's like, "That relationship's not gonna last." I said, "Nah." I said, "Listen, they got a great relationship with each other." And then fast forward to like a year and a half later, he leaves Matt Jansen and goes to another coach, and now they're back together again because he prepped him for this, and that.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, Matt's a great coach. He might have some unorthodox techniques or whatever he does, but he knows how to prep people. He legitimately knows, and that's the one thing I'll never take from Matt Jansen. There are coaches that look up to this guy because his experience, the things that he has done, it'll be in the history books. That is one thing I'll never take away from Matt. I think he is a businessman. I think maybe there's miscommunication along the way. I don't hate these guys because everything I am now, I've built from, I've overcome, and there's a place in my life that I'll never go back to.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling said one thing that stuck with me when I used to read the Harry Potter books and everything, but I would also follow up like biographies on her, and she said that rock bottom was the perfect foundation for the rest of her life. She said, as soon as I hit rock bottom, my foundation was built from there, and I made it very strong so that no one could ever bring me back here again.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I've done.
That part.
Yep.
And this is where I'm going to leave this conversation. This is where it's all going to be left because it's out now.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy that's out.
That's awesome.
And for those of you guys that have watched or actually listened to this, I hope you guys follow for more, I guess, industry stuff that's going on. I don't really know everybody. We're trying to talk about a lot of different issues and trending topics, but the one thing that I had to get off of my chest was the situation that happened with me and Nick Walker. I don't hate the guy, but I hate the situation that he had put me in. And maybe one day I can face the guy and say, hey, I forgive you. But as of right now, I never see that happening. But I hope you guys subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys follow the links down below to the Instagram. If you guys ever want to hire Lex for the mixer, she is amazing at doing podcasts. We are doing podcasts here at Attila's Gym in Belmar. So if you guys do want to rent out the space, please DM me on my Instagram and I will let you guys know what can happen. As you guys do know, Lex will be the permanent mixer for this podcast. So everything will go through me to go through her and also the owner of the gym. But I hope you guys enjoy and I hope to see you guys later. Deuces.